put certain mints in your mouth. And you
That's the idea. The mints do help.
Hello.
Because I heard off the mask.
Look at these.
You got quiet. That's awesome. Hey. We're gonna go ahead and get started with our August work session. We'll let Dr. Neal turn over to Dr. Neal and her walk us through it. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. This is our August work session. It really seems like we've been in school longer than just 1 month. We've worked hard for a smooth start, and thanks to this Board of Education for your support, and to all the administrators and people in the audience, and people watching live stream for all of your help for a very smooth start. We will give a COVID update later in the work session agenda, but we'll start with the strategic communication plan that we will revisit at our October retreat. And this is a draft, and Mr. Gaston, our public relations supervisor, is here to present this draft. And if you have any input for us between now and October, we are wide open to input. We have developed 4 goals for our communication strategy that we have talked about since Mr. Gaston was hired last January. And so he has put together this document, and we will take revisions until our October retreat and finalize it for board approval at that time. So we have all the way through September into October to kind of overlay some real-time issues into the strategic plan for communications. And I think it's prudent to have one. I appreciate Mr. Gaston for developing one, and we want to make it work for the school board and for the school system. So again, it's a draft, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Gaston at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Neal. Thank you, board members. I believe you do have a copy of the plan in your board packet. So if you have had a chance to look at it, you will see it is exactly what Dr. Neal said. It's a strategic plan specific to communications. That's important to note because school systems themselves have an overarching strategic plan, which would encompass all operational areas from operations, capital planning, budget, athletics, but this is specific communication, which of course intersects all of those departments, all of those areas, all principals, all campuses, all areas of operations. So as Dr. Neal said, I spent a couple of weeks this summer just kind of studying best practices and handwriting this specific communication plan. Of course, I'm still in year 1. I'm still soaking in the culture, still trying to understand what makes Trussville tick, what doesn't work, and all that good stuff. And so these are my initial thoughts. This is a living document. This is something we can certainly augment, revise, add, delete, remove, whatever we need to. But you will see that there are 4 major goals, and I'll just read those quickly, even though you have those in front of you, but for the benefit of our live and virtual audiences. So goal 1, establish Trussville City Schools as its own chief storyteller. And you see the components embedded within that goal, the specific audiences, key messages, the objectives, strategies, and tactics. And this is what a lot of school systems across the district are facing as their local media outlets continue to kind of downsize / right size. When I got into this, and tomorrow starts my 15th year in K-12 PR. So, and over the arc of my time, I have, and keep in mind I did media before this, I've seen the evolution of the newsroom. You would call and try to get a live truck out for an event, or send a press release to the assignment desk. And we can still do that to some extent, but more and more we're relying on ourselves and the software tools that we own, the communication platforms that we manage to make sure that we get our tools out. And so new this year, I've worked with Ms. Chamberlain. We have a parallel pathway for LTTs. She oversees the lead technology teachers, and I oversee the communication pathway teachers. So embedded within each school is an LTT communication pathway person. Those are not new positions, as you know. These are existing employees who are on a supplemental pay scale. They're there to help us with the platforms that I mentioned that we manage: websites, social media, principal newsletters, and other school-wide newsletters, et cetera. So we're trying to leverage those conveyor belts, trying to micro-target the audiences that we can reach that are not necessarily reachable by a mainstream media outlet. And no disrespect to them, but we, of course, through the registration process, collect all of that parent contact information. So we have, I don't have my phone with me, but I pull it up as a prop. But through my smartphone and through the app called Blackboard, which is our current vendor for websites / rapid notification, we can target the entire Trussville parent population and any combination. So if I wanted to send something to just parents of kindergartners and employees that teach 6th grade subjects, I can do that, and anything in between. So that's how robust of a tool this is. And again, it's not new software, but we are starting to really ramp it up here in Trussville City Schools. So, and I'll go through these very quickly in the interest of time. Goal 2, position Trussville City Schools as the district of choice. That's fairly self-explanatory, but you'll see the strategies, tactics, objectives, budget considerations, and evaluative measures embedded within. Brand management, that's what I wrote as goal 3. So that's to amplify the overall value and caliber of Trussville City Schools through expert brand management. So one thing I have taken inventory of since I've been here is the multitude of logos we have in place for certain things. And so I think there's a good way to tie all that together and make sure that we speak in one brand voice. I'm not saying it's out of whack or it's completely off the grid or done in a very poor fashion, but there's a way to make sure that each of our schools has its own identity that tie in with the district identity. And it's not too far off from the process that Athletic Director Mr. Walker has engaged in with taking a look at the Husky brand. So we're talking about scaling that up district-wide and campus by campus, seeing what works for Hewitt-Trussville High School, Hewitt-Trussville Middle School, Cahaba, Magnolia, and Payne. So we're going to look at bringing that all together under one brand voice. Goal 4, create, enhance, and/or reinforce positive sentiments surrounding Trussville City Schools. You can tell that a lot of these goals intermingle and intertwine and have a lot of crossover, but they have a lot of specificity underneath each one. So these are ways I believe if we really take communication processes seriously and focus on them and carve out time for them, then we can, I believe, increase parent engagement, parent buy-in, and it's not in a bad place already. I presented the parent communication survey results to you all back in the winter. The vast majority of our parents and employees rate the school system very highly across all areas. So we're just talking about taking that needle and moving it forward just a little bit more, and then making sure that we're consistent across the board in communication processes. So I'm happy to entertain any questions. Was that boring enough?
That was great.
It's exciting, and I mean, the hardest part of the needle to move is the next few notches when you're already really good, so keep it up. Hold on.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll revisit that again at the retreat. I appreciate that. Okay, I'll turn it over to Dr. Berry to talk about a brand new contract for a select group of teachers in the math and science and computer science departments. And it's very exciting information. So
It is. We're really excited. I guess I'll come up to the podium as well. I think you guys have in your board package the actual contracts with teacher names, but just wanted to pull a few facts. So from the high school, we have 13 teachers that have indicated their participation in teams and are up for board approval tonight. 7 science and 6 math teachers. And breaking that down a little bit more, we have 1 current math teacher at the high school who's nationally board certified. We have one that just completed their STEM certification, and then we have one that just submitted for national board certification. So that's pretty exciting. And then at the middle school, we have 9 teachers, 5 science and 4 math, with 1 currently holding national board cert. So the vast majority of our teachers entering this contract are working toward STEM attainment, STEM certification attainment, which can happen in a year, in some cases even less. So they will have that certification before the end of the year. So very exciting, very, very exciting for these teachers to, just receive this extra compensation, and happy that we have such a large number of our teachers participating with this. So it's an update on teams.
So you see a list of teachers that applied and qualified, and what they'll get paid according to their team's pay scale from the State Department.
Yep.
So that's pretty amazing. You can take a look at that. Any questions about that? Those contracts are on the board for approval tonight. Okay, I wanted to give a COVID update and talk about our COVID response plan. The current one and the advanced COVID response plan. First of all, I went ahead to, I went to send the numbers for the dashboard that's not quite up yet. But I wanted to start the year and run a baseline. So after summer vacation, the first week of school, we had 44 students and 4 staff members on the COVID positive list. And then on the second week of school, specifically August 18th through 24th, we had 14 students and 1 staff member on the COVID positive list. So that starts our baseline, and it answers the question, how are we doing as we follow the toolkit? We're going by the Alabama Department of Public Health toolkit. And we're wearing masks when we need to. We've asked parents to send a mask with their child, and they are. And I appreciate that so much. And when students are 6 feet or more apart from each other for more than 15 minutes, masks are not required. And when they are indoors within 6 feet for 15 minutes or more, teachers are asking them to put on the mask, and they are. It seems to be working, but we wanted to be able to adjust if we need to. There are school systems with mask mandates that have higher numbers of COVID positive cases than we do. Now that could change, and you never know where it comes from, what's going on in the community, what the activities external to school happen to be. But we're being very, very careful in school. And we are following that toolkit while in school. Last year, there was a statewide mask mandate, and masks were worn after school, as well as in school. And that's not happening right now. So that's the biggest difference. So currently we have a COVID response plan that includes quarantine facilitators. And we have extra supplements for teachers who have signed on to be the facilitators of students who are out 14 days and to assist the classroom teachers and those students to keep up with their work. That's rolling, that's working. And thank you, Dr. Berry, for leading that charge. As I look at particularly South Alabama, and I look at some things going on in other school systems where numbers are much greater than what we have here, they are closing whole classes for 2 weeks, and they're closing whole schools for 2 weeks. And you can read about that anywhere online. So the consideration is for us to have an advanced COVID response plan just in case that same thing happens here. So we have rolled this out to the principals, and the board members got this last week as well. And it would mean that an entire class or a whole school might change from face-to-face instruction to remote learning for that 2-week period of quarantine. So what we have in place is Schoology from last year. We have archived lessons. that teachers can use, or they can upload brand new lessons. And we have quarantine facilitators to also help with that as needed if they're a brand new teacher and they weren't here last year to go through that ebb and flow with us. So in order to avoid doing that, we need to stay with the toolkit, bring those masks to school, wear the mask when they are required, within 6 feet for more than 15 minutes, keep those baseline numbers down. A new factor this year is vaccination, and that's a great thing. Many of our teachers are vaccinated. Booster shots are forthcoming, and I would say most of our coaches have reported that our athletes are vaccinated. They want to play ball. So we have student leaders in our schools that are vaccinated, and we have the athletes are also encouraging masks at all times. So they have taken the lead on that because they want to stay in school and they want to play ball. So I appreciate that the parents are cooperating with us in that way. And we have had a smooth start. Our baseline data looks good, and we want to keep those numbers as low as possible. But it takes the whole village. It takes what we do in school and what we do outside of school as well. So again, vaccinations, masks, and social distancing are the key components, and we will keep those numbers each week. From Tuesday afternoon at 3 o'clock is the cutoff. So the report comes Wednesday. The state dashboard runs from Wednesday to Tuesday. And so that's what we're doing, Wednesday to Tuesday. We've already started that cadence. So we still get letters from maskers and anti-maskers. We get statistics here and statistics there. We're reading every email that comes in. The board has gotten several. I have gotten several. They've all been put together in a collection. We're responding to every email. Mr. Gaston is responding as well. And we are set to adjust if we need to. But as far as the beginning of school has gone in August, things have started very well for us. Any comments on that? Okay. I will move on to enrollment. I have been curious about the city census from 2010 to 2020, and the city increased quite a bit, 30%. So Trussville is growing. So Mr. Kirkland ran some numbers for me from Trussville City Schools in 2010, reported in 2011, and 2020 reported today, and we are up 15%. So you have the grade level increases in your packet, and the grade levels that have increased the most over the 10-year percent growth are kindergarten and grade 9 at 29%, and then the seniors, grade 12 at 36%. So we are growing in students, and we're also retaining our students in school the whole time, because that 12th grade number means they've stayed, they've showed up, they've stayed. So our enrollment numbers are up 15%. And then the second enrollment sheet in your packet is a snapshot on the top graph of this school year. And if you will just put your eyes on Payne Elementary, you will see this year, during the first 6 days of school, Payne Elementary grew the most, from 1,293 students up to 1,325 students in 1 week. And this is a result of families moving into the new subdivisions. Now, we had our enrollment from last year, and we were good to go. And then we gained from the first week of school last year to the first week of school this year, 150 students at Payne Elementary, just about 150.
Just at Payne?
Just at Payne. But that's the new subdivisions, and maybe Mr. Kirkland can rattle those off. There's an addition at Longmeadow, an addition at Stockton. There is a Winslow Park. What else, Mr. Kirkland?
It's not even out of the ground yet, though, is it? Winslow Park, is that the newest one? still running.
Are they still building in Carrington some?
They are, yes, they're building some more here.
They're building a new subdivision over by the Catholic church. It just broke ground. Yeah.
So when I first got on board, you guys had some really interesting numbers that for every new house, it represented X number of potential students. Do y'all remember that?
Children, 2.5 children.
2.5.
Mhm.
Is that holding consistent what we see? Because we just see that Trussville now is like the 4th or 5th largest, fastest growing city in the state of Alabama. Is that, those numbers, I've always been intrigued, we had that data to make these decisions on, but is that holding consistent? Because it seems to me, we think Trussville grew 30, we only grew 15. I mean, I'm just trying to think that through my mind.
Was, that doesn't mean,
But they have a
well,
4-year-old.
there's a lot of kids that just aren't to us yet, too.
Yeah.
They figure 2.5 kids per family, is that right?
And that doesn't mean they're school age yet.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
it, they have a 4-year-old.
But I mean, it's more the storm coming.
They're babies or they're already in college, but that's the way it rolls. So, yes, 100, almost 150 at Payne. So we have the space. We would like to hold Payne at about 1,000 students, although we do have ample room and, but we're running out quickly. But it's very hard to manage PE schedules, music schedules, art schedules when you get over 1,000 students. You need like a teacher and a half to do PE, 2 teachers and a half and so forth. So the way it rounds up, if you have a Cahaba and a Magnolia with 500 students each, you have 1 PE teacher and they can serve 500. So you go to Payne and you have 1,000 students, you have 2 PE teachers and that's manageable. And then when you get over 1,000 students, it's very hard to manage the music, PE, art schedule, that kind of thing. And you don't want to hire half a teacher. It's hard to find and hard to manage. So the proposal is a 4th elementary school coming up on the capital plan. We would quickly empty out, say 400, 500 students at Payne and accommodate the growth at Carrington that Ms. Telbert just mentioned. There's a subdivision back behind Carrington, some of that area back behind Stockton. That's the whole process, though, is to get a new school zone for a 4th elementary school. But I have met with the mayor and there is a proposal for some property, possibly for the 4th elementary school. We want to put that on a fast track if possible. Look at some refinancing so that there's no tax increase. It would just mean that we need to keep everything just like it is and maybe do a refinance of one of our general obligation warrants and start a 4th elementary school as soon as possible. So that is on the capital plan to be determined. And with regard to the capital plan, you can't build anything if it's not on the capital plan. But if it's on the capital plan, it doesn't mean that it's in any order to do. It just means that it's coming up in the future. So I would love to hear your comments on the 4th elementary school.
I'm interested in looking at the figures on Cahaba and the numbers in 2019, 20, like on the 4th day, it said 538, and then we jump up and there's a decrease, slight decrease for 21, 22. Same thing for Magnolia, there's a decrease. So it's interesting, those numbers are dropping somewhat, whereas the Payne, of course, that's where the growth is. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting why those numbers have gone down somewhat, especially Cahaba. That's interesting because of the numbers. I guess it's because of the density of population in the project area. I just wonder if there's any particular reason other than this. I guess the growth is out there.
I think I know the answer to that.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I have a 9th grader and a 7th grader, and my 7th grader 2 years ago was a 7th grader at Cahaba, and my understanding is that 7th grade class is, and the 9th grade class are the biggest that we've ever had, right?
Correct.
And so they
Yes.
left, they're now at the middle school, that's why you're seeing the jump at the middle school and the jump at the high school, because they're that grade.
And then like every 3rd year or every 4th
Right.
year, you get this massive, like 100 more students in a class. I mean, it just seems to have kind
Because
of,
you got those sibling groups that are,
yeah.
you've got families that move in, and
That's exactly right. Our 2 largest classes now are 7th grade and 9th grade. So if you back that up to what you're talking about on the years, Dr. Ward, you're exactly right. It dropped because of the size of the classes that were there at the time. Yeah.
So we did a nice expansion of middle school. When is this going to come into a problem at the high school if we're thinking X number of years out? I mean, it's got to one day culminate a problem there. That's the only one we've not done any expansion to. Well,
You are stealing my thunder for my next comment. Thank you, Mr. Sims. No, truly, the next thing I was gonna mention.
It's just a wave, right? And
Yeah.
this wave is heading there now. High school just took this big group that's coming through, but eventually, middle school's got nice capacity now. I think in our minds, we always thought the next big deal would probably be the high school, and now this is kind of a redirect from what I thought we would be experiencing in the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, your comment is brilliant. We have on our capital plan a C wing. Right now, the aerial view of the high school looks like an F. We have an A wing and a B wing, and it needs to look like an E. So we'll add that C wing. The footprint is already there. And then in the farther future, we would have some academy buildings on a corridor that would empty out the high school as well. But the common areas for the high school are built for about 2,000. So when we build C wing, we will still be okay in the library and the cafeteria and the common areas that are shared by the entire student body.
But in our mind, are we thinking that's 2 years, 3 years? I mean, because if we're gonna take on another capital project with the elementary school, as we realign everything, I think we have to be thinking about this. And I would imagine that multi-level wing is gonna be pretty expensive project.
It's 4 levels.
Yeah.
0, 1, 2, 3. The C wing and the 4th elementary school have very rough estimates attached to them, and we're looking at the refinance of one of our general obligation warrants. And so we would roll the cost of the C wing and 4th elementary school into that balance, and hopefully run it down 25, 28, 30 years, and see if we can't keep our debt the same.
Well, after I'm gone. Okay.
Turn it over to Jim.
I know,
Oh, no.
that's right. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you said the high school accommodates around roughly around 2,000. Is that right now?
Just a common area.
The common areas are built for about 2,200 or so. And the C wing is safe to build, is what I'm saying. Sometimes you can't add on and add on and add on because you don't have enough cafeteria and library space, parking space, things like
And it
that.
was already designed
It was,
to
it's
have
planned.
that elevated point.
Well, we could even debate doing the freestanding building, take pressure off first, maybe, but that could all be figured out as long as we build the capital plan.
So that's a new addition, 2 new additions to the capital plan. And thank goodness we added on to the middle school when we did, because we have that, the final 10 there, so. Good conversation and good plan. Okay, any other comments on the enrollment or the capital plan for the new elements of the capital plan?
Do we know when the city is going to address this?
I am meeting with the mayor and Rick Stotzer regularly, and we're looking at logically an area north of Payne. So the new elementary school would be our northmost school, and Magnolia would be our southernmost school, and then Cahaba and Payne would be in between. So we're looking at a good amount of acreage for an elementary school would be 15 to 20 acres. And we would need that in an area that's growing.
Zoning wise, because that's a big deal.
There'll be no controversy with that.
No, but does that only affect Payne, or do you have, when you do a new, and I'm asking out of total ignorance, how does How does that work?
Well, the zone is a four-letter word. And so it would mostly empty out Payne, and then Mr. Kirkland and I would have to look at those back roads and look at the idea of there being a back road on the backside of Carrington and Stockton to see what the best thing to do would be. So we don't have those plans yet, but it would mostly empty out Payne. And I don't know if Dr. Loftspike has any words of wisdom for us or not, but she calls me all the time. And Dr. Loftspike does a great job because she's really got a pulse on that growth. And that is an unstable management situation. She does a great job handling a very unstable environment with unknowns. So thank you for
I
that.
appreciate all the support that I get.
Yeah.
And, but things are going great, but I'm happy to hear that we're, we're looking at the future because I know we will continue to grow. And so that's good news.
There's no doubt. So yes, we will have to really put the pencil to it, and I think we'll try to work with Trussville Gas and Water on their GPS system. They have a very good system for utilities, and they've mapped it out in a very unique way that will help us draw a school zone too. So we appreciate the help of the city, Trussville Gas and Water, and all the above. So it's exciting.
It is
It's great.
exciting.
It's a good problem to have. Yes.
It's not like we didn't know that wasn't coming down the road.
No, let's not be surprised on enrollment, so. I'll turn it over now to Mr. Ferris to talk about the other elements of the capital plan, and this is his first capital plan to send into the state, so we have a cadence for approval and submission to the state.
All right. Don't have this in your packet. New central office is ongoing. The tennis courts are ongoing on here. They were on there before. Security upgrades, they've been on there before. They've stayed on there. Technology upgrades, we're constantly doing those too. Like y'all talked about, the corridor academy building. The C-wing at the high school is gonna be on there. There's an addition on there this year to the middle school and high school stage lighting. The middle school's very outdated. The mechanical units at Payne, that was on there before. That's an ongoing thing. Those are our oldest units. So we're constantly looking at, we're gonna have to change them sooner or later. We'll just keep nursing them along as long as we can. That's why they're on there. The football weight room addition is on there from before. I've added the gym roof replacement at Cahaba. It's like a 15-year-old roof, starting to show a lot of wear and leaks around the edges. The new elementary school we talked about. And I also added a high school band floor to it this year because that floor at the band school has had a lot of wear on it. Since the school was built, it could be clean, but it's really coming apart. It really needs to be replaced sooner than later. The completed projects were the middle school fine arts addition, the baseball parking lot and cross-country course upgrades, and the new student parking at the high school. And if there's anything else that y'all can think of that needs to be added.
Well,
On your sheet, is everything kind of tilted up one line at the bottom there? It just needs to be pulled down.
A little bit.
how many students can we park now at the high school? I'm just curious. Does anybody know?
So we added what, 250?
We added about, it was about 230, I think.
230.
Okay.
And when
And
all those ninth graders get C16, that's gonna be an issue.
they don't have to drive.
No. I don't know if mine will be.
We will double parking price.
Increase the price of them.
So what's the total, Mr. Sager?
Oh, the total.
We
Oh, I'm
added
sorry.
230, what does that total?
Oh, gosh. I want to say 750, something like that, but I'm not positive. Because I get the staff parking mixed up with the student. I want to say we're around 750.
They didn't count the ones that park down the street and everything else. We got a lot more capacity than that. too.
Yeah, and they're not doing that anymore since we have more parking for them.
If we had to, we could, I guess.
It's time for some change orders, Mr. Ferris, and you'll explain those to us.
All right. The change orders you have on in your packet as well. We have one for additional piping requirements from the utilities for a water main relocation for the turn lane going in from the central office. Water line had to be moved back because it can't be that deep on the outlet right of way, so moved it back. And there's also an addition to a fire hydrant that has to be by the vault because it has an FDC on it. So those two, this is the majority of that change order. The extension of the pipes, the way Trussville Utilities want it tied in, it goes out past the scope, and the grout filling of a water line. I don't want to bore you with all the details of it. The next change order is a credit for 2 pieces of glass on the front of the school, the elevator equipment room. They're going to be, instead of being fire rated, they're going to be a spandrel glass where you can't see through. So that's a credit on that one. The third is a steel plate and tubing truss bearing that they had to restructure to get some ductwork through a truss. And that one comes out of we had a steel allowance in there that will cover that expense on that. That's already been taken care of. The last one is the soundproofing of 3 exterior walls on the building. That is laminated glass, double sheetrock, and sound caulking for the 3 sides to reduce the sound impact if they end up putting the freestanding healthcare back there for the helicopter ambulance, that kind of stuff. Is there any questions on any of that? That's it?
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's go back. We'll go back to the update. I don't know where we're at. Barrel. Central office, the brick is ongoing on all sides. They're putting on brick. They're finishing up the interior rough ends on the electrical and the plumbing and HVAC. The roof is almost in the dry. There's just a little bit on the top. The TPO part is all they lack, and they'll have the flat part in the dry. They have the pitched part in the dry already with the ice and water shield on. Sheetrock starts this week on one side of the interior walls. The dirt work's also supposed to start on that turn lane this week out front. Everything else is going good. Everybody's still working. A lot of people still on the job. That's good. When they leave, working them back. All right, tennis courts. The floor slab's been demoed. It's ready to start the plumbing rough ends. They're continuing to work on the grading to get the proper slope and elevation on the actual court surface itself. Once they get that done, they'll be bringing in gravel for a base in the court area. Then they'll start working on the footings for the boardwalks. And then the gas line relocation, they're going to coordinate. Trussville Utilities is going to move that gas line for us to the final building and relocate it, coordinate that with them on the footing because it has to be cased through the wall. And the timeline on the tennis courts, they have it finishing up around the first week in January. And the critical part of that is the cure time on the asphalt, with it being winter. And the asphalt's gonna have to cure before they can do the paint, so it's kind of a, we can get some good weather around that time of the day.
The season starts pretty close.
Practice starts middle of January, so
Perfect
I
timing.
guess we have to hope for no more hurricanes.
Yes. It'll be nice.
It'll be some-
Yes, and a warm December, we'll be good. Warm and dry.
Is the Playlock building, remind me, they're the contractor on the tennis court. No, they're not.
Costs.
Right, that's right. Okay.
And Ron, April has this ready for the screen, so we were gonna show it to the audience. So we had 6 courts originally, and if Mr. Walker wants to jump in, he can as well, but we did get a plea and a request for more than 6, so we did manage to fit in 8. So I wanted you to see the configuration on the screen.
That's the 3, 2, 3 with the bleachers on each side of the center.
That's great. And the purple would represent fencing. Okay, so it'll be fenced that way with the tall fencing to keep the balls from going into the other courts. And I think it looked great, I do. You all know where it is, it's right behind the middle school. And Miss Abney's thrilled.
We'll have center court at Trussville, so center court.
Yes, that's right.
So we're just, bleachers are just in the middle too, like a competition course. Okay.
There.
It's for middle school and high school, right?
Correct, and I think that's, one thing where Dr. Mills talking about the 8 courts versus 6 is, the more courts you have a match, the quicker you can get through a match. So, we have a high school match, we play that on 6 courts, we've still got a couple of courts from middle school to practice that day, without having to go somewhere else or whatever. So I think that'll help us in several ways.
Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
15 minutes to hear from the principals if we have time. Sure, if y'all would like to do that. Okay. I guess I'll start at with the oldest group of students. And that would be the oldest group of students.
What'd you say?
And we're gonna work our way down.
Do I talk from here or do I go up there?
Well, the audience would need for you to just come stand on the yellow piece of paper.
Or the podium's good.
Or the podium. The podium or the yellow piece of paper, either one.
Okay. How's everyone doing?
Good, how are you?
Just fine. Well, we just want just an overview of where we've been and what we're doing. Okay.
And, yeah,
Well,
we'll get started for you.
as of today, Hewitt Trussville High School has 1,592 students, which includes 74 new students completely. And our largest class, of course, is the 9th grade class. The second largest class is the junior class. The smallest class is 10th to 12th. They're like 1 digit between them. We have 18 new staff members this year. And Mrs. Abney was very nice to work with me and allowed me to steal 2 of her teachers. So we did.
She's not happy.
It's all good, Abney. We also hired teachers from Gardendale, Hoover, Mountain Brook, Spain Park, Prattville, Gadsden, Jefferson County, Birmingham City, Blount County, Pennsylvania, and Ohio.
Wow.
So we had lots to hire, and that's all I did all summer. And as a school, this is about the 15th day of school, I think. And we're honestly just trying to get schedules, internal schedules straight with Power School, Schoology, readjusting to the modified block, which we returned to this year since we're post-COVID. And everything's going well. We're just, learning new things each day about Power School, and it's going fine. We're about to start our 3rd football game this Friday? In August. And just enjoying the school spirit. I will say the kids are happy to be in school. They were happy to get to school. They were happy to stay in school. They just like being together. And that's a good thing. That's how it's always been for most of my career, so it's nice to have it again.
Thank you for doing a great job at the high school.
Thank
you. The kids love you. Oh, Miss Abney, next oldest group of students.
Students. All right, well, thanks, you guys. We are off to a great start at the middle school. Just to throw out some numbers like Tim did, we have 1,136 students, with our largest class I think we've ever had now being in ninth grade. So our enrollment, I think, may have gone down a smidge, but we do also have 59 new students. So that's exciting to have new students come into our building. We also included those students who were maybe virtual last year, sixth graders, who never attended the middle school before. So we were able to invite them in, show them around the school, let them meet their teachers. We've done sixth grade orientation, which we were very happy to be able to get our new sixth grade students into the building, show them around, let them meet their teachers as well. We did some hiring this summer. We had addition of some new paraprofessionals, some new teachers, so we have hired from all over, and it's been an exciting time because I can say every adult that we hired, they love kids and they put kids first. And that was the most important thing, in this hiring process. So I'm very excited about our new people that we have in the middle school. Our teachers attended A+ training this summer. So they are very excited to get rolling with this new instruction model. It's been fun getting in classrooms and seeing this already being implemented, and just seeing the depth of instruction and the depth of the knowledge that's being gained while they're in class. It's been a really cool thing to see. We will be giving the PSAT 8-9 to our 7th and 8th graders coming up next month. And that's going to be that baseline data for this A+ grant to really look at student growth. We'll take it again, 8th graders will take it again in the spring. So more information is going to be coming out for parents about that. So that's coming out soon. Teachers are still working hard. Same for Tim. Our students are so excited to be in the building. There is nothing more invigorating than to hear middle school kids in the morning, like they're chattering, they're in the hall, they're excited to be there, and it's made all of our hearts happy too. So we've gotten going with volleyball, with football, cross country, dance, cheer, all of our kids being involved in activities, our academic, and student groups are getting organized, student interest meetings, and so it's just encouraging and exciting to see our students, working together and working with the teachers and starting to form those relationships. So we're looking forward to a great year. Yeah. Thank y'all.
Okay, let's go to elementary schools. Let's go to the biggest student body. That's a surprise. We'll start with Dr. Boxby. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you. You do have a large group this year, more than ever.
We do, and we're blessed by our large group this year. We're off to a great start. Our roles have been kind of fluid for the last couple of weeks, and our teachers have adjusted and have done a great job as we've tried to cement roles down. And there's just great teaching and learning already going on in our school. It's amazing how we hit the ground running. We have quite a few new teachers due to our growth, and the other teachers have just taken them under their wing and they're mentoring them, and we're just there for kids. We collaborate, we're working together to create amazing lessons. We're in the process right now gathering baseline math and reading data for all of our students. We know exactly how they're starting out the year, so we can provide the best instruction for them. We have meetings the past 2 days with our teachers, just on any students where we've gathered data so far where we have concerns or maybe they may need some additional supports. And we're just working through that right now. But I just have to say, we have the most amazing faculty and staff at our school. I'm so proud of every single one of them because they're truly there not because it's a job, but because they're there for those kids, and they really pour their heart and soul into everything about these kids, from academics to to social emotional learning, just everything. And so I'm proud to be a part of that.
Thank you. Okay, this time. I'm gonna fight that out with Dr. Faust. Who wants to come up next?
We're gonna go in order.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. I'll probably say some of the same things that Dr. Losbach said, but we are just, we're glad to be back. There are a couple of things that were big game changers for us to start the school year. One was being able to do things outside with our community. So we had meet the teacher events, on the front lawn and then under the car line. And that started us off on the right foot, and we've been able to, we had a new kid welcome party for our 35 new kids, which was a lot for us. For the first time ever, our kindergarten class is really big this year. So that's been something new. We have almost 90 kindergartners. So we welcomed all of those on the front lawn. We're getting ready to celebrate our back to school challenge participants. We did a challenge where the students were asked to complete 5 tasks during the July and August. And they were things like create a reading space and take a picture with you reading to a pet or a sibling, creating a habitat for some critter you find outside, and then of course letting it go. Writing letters of appreciation, doing a chore, unexpected chore. But they used a QR code to upload their pictures, and we were able to push those out on social media. But it was, to me, getting ready to come back to school is getting that mindset of thinking about others again and realizing it's not just your siblings anymore, it's the big group. And they've done a great job. We only have 5 new employees this year, and I don't have anybody from Ohio, but I do have a North Carolina person, and then a couple of Hewitt Trussville grads too. So we're excited about our new staff members, and a big difference for our teachers. And I have to say a big thank you to Dr. Berry for our testing team that has come in to help do some of these assessments. It's just taken a lot off of our teachers, and also adding interventionists and part-time interventionists that are able to take some pressure off the teachers in those areas too. And we really appreciate that. It's made a big difference in mindset at the beginning of the year.
Awesome. Thank you, Joel. You're welcome.
Well, last but not least.
Absolutely.
So, as Joy said, lots of similar things, but of course there are some differences. We are so grateful for the interventionist. We have already got Lee Dykes, who is our reading interventionist, working with students. And these are those students that really need that extra help, and so it's going to make a world of difference. Our math interventionist will be joining us here after Labor Day holiday, so we're extremely proud of that. Dr. Berry, with the testing team as well, that has made a big time difference in regards to, we've already got our data. So we are able then to pull our teams together so we know which students we need to really focus on. We had Meet the Teacher as well, and it was so good to be able to, we had it outside, of course, but we had a big setup where the teachers got to take pictures with their kids, and the parents got to take pictures with their kids, and so it was just so much fun. Our PTO, I think, did the best. We're a small PTO, but we had so much parental involvement with that, so it's made a big time difference. So just knowing that we've got things that our PTO is going to be able to do because of so many parents joining, they're actually providing lunch for our faculty on Friday, pre-Labor Day. So we're super, super pumped about that. We've got some things that I think our teachers are most excited about is that the students are traveling now, so they get to go to art class, they get to go to the music room, whereas last year, the teachers had their carts and they rolled with, to the classroom. So that is one thing that is made the difference with everybody, is the ability to be able to move, instead of them having to come to them. The other thing that I'm really proud about is we have our safety patrol in place, so those students are working every day in the car lines and in welcoming students into the building. We've also got, or getting in place, our yearbook staff and our leadership team. So the students are busy writing some type of essay and answering some questions on why they would like to be part of our yearbook staff, which we've never had before, so this is a first. So I'm super pumped about that. Rebecca Bishop, who's our librarian, will be our yearbook staff editor. And then our leadership team will be led by our counselor, Lauren Blake. So those are just some other opportunities that our kids have. And, we're looking forward to the possibilities. We will be the foundation, with their PAC, the way they're wording that. We have leaders of the PAC now, so we are looking at using, the way they are doing their movement to try to get membership going. So we've got leaders of the PAC that we're going to be announcing on Friday, and then we already have a millionaire. So Wilhelm Blau, he's a fourth grader. He's already, read 1 million words, so I fully expect him to outdo himself than last year. So we're super, super proud. So that's Magnolia.
Awesome, thank you. We do have a chance for a 3-minute break if we want a coffee break of sorts, and then we'll gather back at 6. For the board meeting. I'm sorry, gather back at 4 for the board meeting. 3 minutes.
meeting to order. It's 4 o'clock. Ish. Thank you to everybody for being here, and we're gonna stand, and Mr. Sims is gonna lead us in our prayer and our pledge.
God, we thank you so much just for the honor to be a part of just the school system, Lord. As we just appreciate all the great things we have in this country, this nation, God, I just pray that your blessings upon us, that you would give us wisdom and direction to do the right thing, to continue to love these kids, nurture these kids, to see them grow and develop. And God, we pray for our community and all the things that are going on. We pray that you'll continue to heal us, that you'll give us wisdom, that you would just give us the right knowledge to do the right thing. So we thank you for the many blessings we have. In your name we pray. Amen. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sandra, you call roll.
Kathy Brown. Here. Steve Ward.
Here.
Mark Sims.
Here.
Kim DeShazo.
Here.
Sherry Tolbert. Here. And here.
Okay, thank you. Again, we'd just like to say welcome to everyone for our August board meeting and our visitors that are with us tonight. We'll get to y'all in just a second. First thing we're going to do is adopt our agenda. Board, you've had time to look it over. Do I have a motion to adopt our agenda? So moved. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Opposed? Motion carried. Sandra, I'm sorry. Next on the agenda is on our program is City Council Liaison Lisa Bright, and she is out of town and could not be with us here tonight, so we don't have a report from the city. So now I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Neal for some recognitions.
This is super exciting to me because we have world champions in high school fishing, and I would love for Andrew Jones and Carson Underwood to please come forward. And as they come forward, please let's give them. I would like Mr. Salem to come up as well. And this, now I love to fish, I do. And when I imagine these guys in a world fishing championship match, I just need to know what it's like. And I would love for you guys to give me just a statement or two about what that felt like, how many rounds you went through, if you had to weigh in by pound or by number. How did that work for you guys?
Yes, ma'am. It was a 4-day tournament, and we had to weigh in our 3 biggest bass each day, and it was cumulative the first 3 days, and then on the final day it evened out, and then we had to catch the 3 biggest bass, which we did on the final day.
And that was in South Carolina. And I think you're competing with 400.
398 other boots.
300. We're all that way out there. 400. Andrew, speaking as a junior, and then Carson is a 10th grader. And we've had the fishing team for a few years, and we have a class school sponsor, Mr. Jeff Baker. But I wanted them to introduce their parents and have our head coach come up as well. Andrew, why don't you introduce your parents?
It's my dad, Jeff Jones, and my mom, Lindsay Jones.
Y'all come on up for a photo. Congratulations to you all as well.
That is my dad, Shane Underwood, and my mom, Beth Underwood.
And then Mr. Jones is head coach, so he's going to add some details as well.
Please do.
Did they earn their award, Mr. Jones?
Yes, they did. They sure did.
All right, here we go. Right here. 1, 2, 3. And
So the future's bright too, right? They're both right.
Yes. Yeah.
got it.
Good job, guys.
Great job.
And just tell us a little bit about that experience.
So yeah, so as Mr. Salem said, the fishing team, I guess, is relatively new in Trussville. It's been out for almost 5 years now. we had 38 kids last year fish in at least one tournament. So, and a tournament consists of a boat captain and 2 anglers on every boat. The boat captain is usually a dad or a granddad or a family friend or someone that's has a bass boat that takes the boys fishing all day long and sits there and watches the boys fish. So it's a kind of a unique sport for the parents could really be involved in what the kids do. And so anyway, Andrew and Carson, they qualified for this World Championship. They were the top anglers in Alabama this year. They won the Alabama Bass Federation Angler of the Year point standings, and that qualified them for this World Championships. There was teams from 47 states, and there was also 7 teams from Zimbabwe that are representing. So it's truly a World Championship. So for these boys to win and do as well as they did, it's very impressive. We went last year to the same tournament, went to Wisconsin and fished the northern Mississippi lakes up there. And so they finished 4 ounces from qualifying for the final day. And this year they were able to qualify for the final day and brought home the big trophy. And if you guys hadn't seen the trophy, it's pretty impressive. It's like 6 foot tall, and they won those trophies. They also, in addition to those, they also won over 400,000 scholarship offers. So it's so to universities from Bethel Universities, to Simpson College, Montevallo. There's I think there were 7 or 8 different colleges. Drury University in Springfield, Missouri, offered $128,000 to go there. So I mean, it was a big tournament, big win for these guys, a big win for Trussville Fishing. We've got a lot of traction from it, a lot of kids. We've had our first informational meeting this year, and we've signed up 12 additional kids, new kids, and we fished grades 5th through 12th. So everybody's more than welcome to join the team, and as long as they have a boat and a captain, and we're ready to go, we'll go fishing. So that's what we do.
Well, congratulations.
Well,
When one of us wins, we all win. Congratulations.
That's right.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody believe that Dr. Neal takes her own fish off the hook?
That won't help from my friend.
I don't think it happens.
Thank y'all. Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll turn it over to Mr. Kirkland for our second and final public budget hearing. Thank you, Mr. Kirkland.
Thank you, Dr. Neal. As you know, y'all been through these several times already. We are required by the state to have 2 public hearings. This is, as Dr. Neal said, our second public hearing of the year, which for us means it's going to be a Reader's Digest version, because most of this stuff you heard in the first hearing, but it's good for the public just to kind of hear a little bit about what goes into our budget. I do want to say, just to kind of help in some of the costs, I did not print the budget handout, but it is on our website on the finance webpage under documents. So anybody who wishes to download the handout is certainly welcome to go there. And if anybody needs help and needs a document, they can contact me and I'll print one out for them. April, if you can go on to the next page. There you go. All right. Last time we spent a lot of time on, this is the budget. It's what is presented in your packet tonight with a recommendation for approval. We spent a lot of time on it last month, describing what the various components meant. I'm not going to go over that tonight. If anybody is interested, the handout does a great job of explaining what the different funds and the revenue expenditure classifications are, what they mean, and what are in those classifications. So, and of course, I'm always available to answer any questions. The change from this month to last month, Obviously, we have the federal allocations in that we did not last month. So I don't know if you remember or not, but in some of these excess rows last month, there were some negative numbers because I had some expenses recorded, but no revenue because we didn't know what the allocations were. All of those have been leveled out. So, I have revenues matching expenditures. Everything's good. Dr. Neal has already just mentioned several times about our growth. We have added some teacher units and some aides since last time. We will be using some of the federal money to pay for these positions for this upcoming year. And then as our ADM, and I'll talk about that in just a second, as our ADM balances out, foundation program will pick those units up. So, and you can go on to the next page. And I'll go ahead and talk about that. Just a little bit. The majority of our funding is based off of our student enrollment, which we've already talked is up significantly this year. This will be one of those years where we're having to add units at the beginning, and then as funding catches up with ADM next year, we'll receive more state funds next year in order to take care of some of these units. And it's just the way the foundation program works. April, if you can go on to the next picture. Thank you. Again, I've already mentioned, you'll notice the difference between this chart and last month is in the federal column. I budgeted the new units in, so we've added, I have a budget of 4 teachers. We have filled 3, but we kind of have just one just there for as a cushion in case we continue to grow over the next couple of weeks. I've also added budget has not been posted or advertised yet for an aide position in the federal, but these are only certified units. These are only teachers in this. So we're taking advantage of our federal money to maximize that first to so that it doesn't impact our local as much as possible. And the last slide, this is our impact of our, what I call our local fund. Expenditures, we did increase a little bit since last month, but I am still showing that based off of revenues and expenditures, we should roll over at least 227,000. This is always a conservative budget. Expenditures should be pretty close on it. I do expect revenues to come in better. It's still going to be a tight year because of all the growth and everything that we've had to do. But I think it's a very good budget. I think it's a very sound budget. I'm just glad we're in Trussville. I do think we'll come in better than this, but it's going to be a tight year. I'm not here saying that it's not going to be, because it will be. But we're in a good position, and I think this time next year will be better. To get out of the way, so you can see the bottom line, I'm projecting the ending fund balance at the end of fiscal year 22 to be 16.9, which is a little bit more than a 3-month reserve. So state requires us to have a 1-month reserve, and we're going to be just over 3. So, I would like to be stronger, but that's a good reserve based off everything that we've gone through in the last 18 months and how the economy has just gone up and down. So, I think it's pretty good. Any questions about the budget?
If you think it's good, I'm feeling pretty good about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
On the agenda for approval tonight. So I recommend the board approve items A through Y under the consent agenda as listed.
Okay, board, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda agenda items A through Y is listed. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
I'm glad to see item H, approve the recommendation for extension of FFRCR. See, some school systems, instead of not doing that, so, good, thank you. Appreciate that.
That's important. That really is necessary, as we are still in the unknown for COVID leave. And it's just important to continue that, so thank you for approving that and for highlighting that. Roman numeral 2, I recommend the board approve my recommendations for changes in personnel contracts, extra services, and supplements as listed.
Do I have a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendations regarding personnel contracts, extra services, and supplements? I need a motion.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Okay. I don't believe we had any delegations, and so at this time, the superintendent and the Board of Education would like to enter executive session. Our board attorney has provided legal certification for the board to enter executive session under good name and character and pending litigation. Is there a motion to enter executive session? Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And we will now enter executive session. We will not vote. And there will be no business conducted following the executive session, and we will return only to adjourn this meeting. Okay? Thanks, everybody.
I'll be in the office.
Okay.